Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. The Department of War has now published its third batch of UFO files, including documents and videos tied to eyewitness footage of strange encounters from over the years, such as mysterious orb sightings. And now, U.S. officials may be closer to cracking at least part of the UFO mystery after locating the site of recurring glowing orbs. Here now with reaction, UAP whistleblower and former director of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, Lou Elizondo, along with Congressman Tim Burchett. Thank you both for joining us. Let me start with you, Lou. You've been through these new files that have just released. Probably some of them were already somewhat familiar to you. Tell us what's new that's come out.
Well, first of all, you have the FBI reports coming out where very recently they were conducting an investigation where FBI, by the way, seasoned FBI agents, I know who they are, actually witnessed these glowing orbs. And by the way, it wasn't only limited just to FBI agents. About 2 weeks ago, the second tranche of files was released by the White House and the Department of War. And you had a senior official in the Director of National Intelligence who was actually sent, now listen to this, sent to go investigate some orbs that were witnessed around a sensitive military installation. And it turns out that even during his helicopter trip, he himself and the pilot witnessed these orbs, in some cases 20 feet away from the helicopter. And by the way, let me say this. We would not be having this discussion today if it wasn't for the guest that you have right next to you right now, Congressman Tim Burchett and his colleagues there on the task force for transparency. So we really owe a lot of this to the gentleman that's also sharing the screen.
Well, Congressman, I am very grateful to you for this, but I have to ask you first off, what is it about the federal government that they are so afraid of transparency when it comes to this issue?
It could be a lot of reasons. I think one of them is just arrogance. The Bible says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and every one of them thinks they're the greatest thing in the world. I sit in a secure briefing with some little punk with a man bun telling me that the president's on a need-to-know basis. Imagine that. An unelected bureaucrat is sitting there telling military officials, these guys were high-ranking people that were beside him, and members of Congress, that the president is on a need-to-know basis, and he was the gatekeeper. And another, just imagine if you had this energy source that these things are possibly capable of. These things are hovering for hours on end. They shoot up straight up at speeds that we can't even fathom. Just imagine if we could heat our homes in the winter and cool them in the summer. We'd put the war pimps at the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting all these wars over oil. And thank goodness we have President Trump in the White House who kept his word to me and kept his word on this issue and said, you know, he told me, he said, Tim, I'm going to release him for whatever, good or bad. And he did it. He kept his word, and because he is not beholden to that bunch, and he stands on his own. So I appreciate him.
Yeah. Lou, you mentioned a minute ago about the FBI agents who out in the field who witnessed some of these things. I've always been struck by how many of the witness accounts are by people like that, and especially military pilots. The people that I would trust to do anything in the world, reporting some of this stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, you have trained observers. These are individuals who are highly trained. They're trusted and have security clearances. They're trusted to fly live munitions over populated U.S. cities. And then when they report that they're seeing something, it's crickets, right? Nobody wants to take it seriously. And you also have law enforcement officials as well who are trained investigators that are also witnessing these things, trained intelligence officers. And frankly, at this point, it's become kind of the worst kept secret right now in U.S. history.
Congressman, it's not for a lack of trying, though. The federal government has done so much to vilify people, mock and ridicule people who ask questions about this. The effort to cover it up is kind of, it's breathtaking when you look back over the years. Are you confident right now that this info, like this latest tranche that has come out of the Department of War, is at least getting in the right direction to revealing what we know?
It is, but they're still hiding it. I've spoke with highest levels at the White House have told me that you have people within these agencies that are hiding this. The trouble with this deal is on the FBI was it was a person, and I won't tell everything I know about it because I haven't been released, but since the pictures have been released, this was a guy that had done some work for the federal government, and I'll just leave it at that. And these were 2 FBI agents who came to that site and actually witnessed this. So this was a different situation. This wasn't something a bunch of rednecks like Tim Burchett out in the woods somewhere, drunk, seeing some lights. This was the real deal, and they have evidence there and footage. And thank goodness for people like Lou Elizondo who had the guts to stand up to the federal government and take a dadgum stand, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Lou.
Yes, indeed. Well, you're both patriots, and we're very, very, on behalf of the American people, we're very grateful to you both for the work you've done. Thank you both.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.